Greetings, friends! Now, I don't know about all of you, but my players are constantly getting their characters hurt. Depending on the adventure, they can barely go 5 minutes without doing something dumb enough to take a hit point or two. Now, on the one hand, this is a good thing. They're taking risks and not being too precious. On the other hand, my games are very low hit points, and I don't want my players getting killed before they can even roll initiative. However, there are reasonable occasions for a game master to dole out some damage outside of combat. It's a great way to force player characters to face consequences and get a better sense of what world they are in. Also, for some players, pain is the best teacher.
You goddamn wanker!
For some players, pain is the only teacher.
No, you did it again!
And then there are some players who just never learn.
Oh, God, I think he broke something that time!
I'm the Angry Coffee Cup. The meat bag who does all the drawing is named Gabe Dunstan, and he looks like this. And today, we're answering the question, how do we allow our player characters to get hurt without getting them closer to death?
Death!
The answer I came up with for my table, pull dice. Stick with me for a minute. In games like Call of Cthulhu, Deathbringer, the Fate system, and a bunch of others, they have a mechanic called push dice. Your character is making a jump over a long fall, and they roll a 15 when what they needed was a 16. Well, now they can roll an extra die, add it to their roll, and get that little push to pass the skill check. In my games, party mates can roll one of their own push dice for another player, which simulates a party mate lending your character a hand. Pull dice, as you've probably already guessed, are the opposite of push dice. Say your character fails their athletics roll for something silly. They tried to mount a horse in a hurry, but they rolled a natural 1. Now that character definitely gets hurt, but I'm not taking a hit point for that. Instead, I tell the player, you pulled a muscle when you hit the ground. Your next athletics check you'll be doing at a minus D4. And I put a little D4 aside for when they make that next roll. Now say the stakes are a little bit higher. Say you're swinging down a rope from a great height to do some daring do, but you flub that roll.
Yikes! And away!
Then I'd say your character is dizzy from the impact, and your next roll will be at a minus D6. Now say you flub that roll a couple of times.
Yikes! And away! Yikes! And away! Yikes! And away!
Then I'd say your character has a full-on concussion, and your next 4 skill checks will be at a minus D6.
Yikes! And away! Yikes! And away!
The next 7 skill checks, whatever. The one hitch for the player is if their character takes a decent rest at any point, those pull dice go away. So when I started doing this with my players, it worked out great. My players enjoyed the slapstick nature of their failures, and it made their characters more vulnerable, which kept the tension up, which kept the engagement up. Also, I found another problem that pull dice solved. There are those moments when actually losing hit points just doesn't make sense. Take this hit, for example. How much damage did the big guy just take, do you think? Or what about this guy? How much damage did that knife actually do? Well, I'll give you a hint. That's a real knife, and the actor was actually stabbed. He didn't know he had been stabbed until the camera cut, and they pulled the doggone thing out of him. Here's to you, Kevin Nash, you living legend. So how do we distinguish when to use pull dice or when to roll for damage? Put another way, would enough of this damage kill the character? Think about Jackie Chan. How many times does his character get hurt in any given fight scene? But would you classify that as taking damage? Losing hit points? Would he need medical attention after that? Probably not. Probably a good rest or a good night's sleep would cure him. But in this scene, yeah, that's damage. He can't take so much of that. He would need some cure wounds after that. Another decider between hit points and pull dice is combat. If a character takes damage in combat, that loss is in hit points, because the damage there is very intentional in game terms and very important for the mechanics at the table. So if it were in combat, these hits would take damage. It's just what it looks like when your roll to hit is high, but the roll to damage is somehow 1. Now, if a character gets hurt outside of combat, then it's probably pull dice. Now, you might have noticed a pretty fundamental flaw in this system. If your character catches a knock on the head or sprains their ankle, their next check is at a disadvantage, which makes it more likely that they will fail again, and then get hurt again, or get hurt even more, which would make them take more pull dice, making it even more likely to get hurt, and on it goes. Sort of like a mechanical quicksand for player characters. Well, the truth is, that's actually kind of the point. Failure does make failure more likely in real life. In a boxing match, a fighter who gets knocked in the head is going to get dizzy and therefore be more likely to take another shot to the head. In MMA, if a fighter is put in a hold that limits their breathing, if they get out, they'll be more winded than usual and will be more likely to get caught again. It only makes sense to me that player characters would suffer some short-lasting effects as well. It would also make the need for short and long rests more pointed and add another dimension of strategy to the game. And if there's no time or access to rest, it ratchets up the tension even higher, making it all the more impactful when the characters can pull themselves out of the metaphorical quicksand they just stepped in. To be clear, I am sure that I didn't invent this idea. I'm willing to bet this idea has been around since at least the 80s, and has a much better name than pull dice. And if you could think of a better name, put it down in the comments below for me and I'll take a look. And do it quickly because the term pull dice is really starting to grow on me. Now, if you've got a story where you or one of your players' characters supremely hurt themselves in-game, and it made the game better, please let me know in the comments below. I plan to edit my favorites together for a future video. Now, if you want this original for yourself, it will be available on my website at coffeeandrage.biz. Click store at the top. And if you want to hear a story about an amazing Dungeons & Doggies character that is equal parts dangerous and adorable, then please click this video right here. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and may your dice roll high and try not to die.